Ayan used to wake up before his alarm went off. Not because he was disciplined, but because his mind never really got a chance to rest. Even at 16, his head felt heavy with questions he just couldn't answer. Why do some people seem to move forward so easily, while others just feel stuck? Why did effort feel so useless when luck seemed to decide everything? He lived in a small house at the edge of the city. It wasn't poor enough for anyone to pity him, but it wasn't comfortable enough for them to relax either. His father worked long, hard hours and came home tired and quiet. His mother believed in hard work, but she had long since stopped believing in big dreams. They never said it out loud, but Ayan could feel the unwritten rule of the house. Do something safe. At school, Ayan always sat near the window. Not because he liked the view, but because it offered a mental escape without ever leaving his chair. He wasn't a bad student, but he wasn't great either. His teachers all said the same thing, capable but unfocused. That phrase seemed to follow him everywhere he went. Capable but unfocused. As if having potential without taking action was some kind of personal failure. One afternoon, after getting back another average test result, Ayan stayed behind in the empty classroom. The only other person there was the old watchman, quietly cleaning the floor. On the blackboard, someone had written a quote and forgotten to erase it. It said, "You don't need clarity to start. You get clarity by starting." Ayan stared at it for a long time. At first, it annoyed him. It felt too simple, almost like a cheap motivational poster. But it also made him uncomfortable, as if it was pointing directly at something he had been avoiding for a very long time. That night, instead of his usual routine of endlessly scrolling on his phone, he did something different. He opened a fresh notebook. There were no big dramatic plans. No grand promises to himself. He just wrote one simple line at the top of the page. What can I do every day, even when I feel like nothing matters? He didn't have the answer right away. So he wrote down the smallest, most manageable thing he could think of. Study one topic properly. No shortcuts. The next day he did exactly that. Just one topic. He went through it fully, slowly. It wasn't exciting. There was no sudden rush of motivation or inspiration. But when he finally closed the book, something felt different. He wasn't happy, not exactly. He just felt calmer. Days turned into weeks. One topic became two. Two topics became a habit. This new habit didn't magically make his life easier, but it did make it simpler. Ayan stopped waiting to feel motivated. He started working even when he felt bored, tired, or filled with doubt. At first, nobody really noticed. His grades improved slightly, then they dropped again. His friends teased him for studying so much. What will you even get from this? They'd ask him. Ayan didn't have an answer for them. He just kept going anyway. One evening, his father found him studying late. Instead of scolding him, he just watched him quietly for a moment. After a while, he said, "You've changed." It wasn't praise. It was just an observation, filled with surprise. And that surprised Ayan too. He hadn't felt some big dramatic change inside himself. But maybe change wasn't loud. Maybe it was just the quiet act of showing up when it was so much easier to quit. A few months later, Ayan failed an important exam. And he failed it properly. It wasn't close. He didn't almost pass. He failed. For a moment, it felt like his entire world had collapsed. All those nights of studying, all that consistent effort. And this was the result? He didn't touch his books for 3 whole days. All the old negative thoughts came rushing back. Maybe he wasn't meant for this. Maybe trying was just another way to get hurt. On the 4th day, he opened the same notebook from months ago. The first line he had written was still there. And underneath it, he added a new one. What will I do when effort doesn't work? The answer came slowly, and it was painful. Do it again. But this time, smarter, stronger, without the drama. So he went back to his books, but this time, he asked for help. He admitted what he didn't understand. He started practicing the things he got wrong instead of hiding from his mistakes. His ego definitely took a hit, but his learning improved dramatically. And this time, people noticed. A teacher started staying after class to help explain difficult concepts. A friend joined him for late-night study sessions. His mother started leaving a cup of tea near his desk without saying a word. When the next results came out, Ian didn't top the class. He didn't become a genius overnight, but he passed, solidly, respectably. He did well enough to move forward. That night, he realized something incredibly important. The biggest win wasn't the result on the paper. It was the fact that failure hadn't stopped him this time. Years later, Ian stood in a crowded hall, waiting for his name to be called. He had a job offer. It wasn't glamorous. The salary wasn't life-changing, but it was earned. Every single bit of it. As he signed the papers, he remembered the boy he used to be, the boy who waited for motivation to strike, the boy who thought you needed to have it all figured out before you could start. He smiled, quietly. His life didn't change because he suddenly found some massive wave of self-belief. It changed because he kept working even when he didn't believe in himself. And that's the part that nobody really tells you. Motivation doesn't show up at the beginning to start your journey. It arrives later, as a reward for surviving the hardest days. So if you're out there waiting to feel ready, I'm telling you to stop waiting. Start small, start scared, start tired. Just start. Thanks for watching. If this story resonated with you, consider subscribing for more